Yeah. Hi, what's up,
Hi.
everybody? Hi, you're watching on the Town with Tanya, and I'm your host. Thank you so much for coming back with us once again. I know you can see that, right? So much for inconspicuously. Have you ever? Well, first of all, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching, because it's Father's Day, so we
Mhm.
we expect you to do a rerun, share. Share, press like if you want to. It helps because what we're doing is trying to inspire somebody, right? So that's what it's all about. But have you ever wondered um, who is doing the sound when you hear a film or you hear something on TV, you hear music in the background? That's always been curiosity of mine. And so today's guest is has been doing music for over 30 years. He is a musician, engineer, and a composer. Please welcome Mike Hall. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, great. Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Thank you for joining us, especially on Father's Day. You're not a
Mhm.
dad, are you? We didn't take you away from your
Nope.
kids. Okay.
My dad's coming over later, and I'm gonna take him out for dinner. So,
Oh, good, good, good. Any place good? Any any good place?
he doesn't get into anything fancy, just
Okay.
greasy hamburgers. So,
That's the best grandpa. That's the best dad around. Yeah, he's the old
yeah,
American dad. That's the way it
yep.
goes. Even though I don't eat hamburgers anymore, but I get that. It's
I don't
it's a
either really. So,
okay. So dad's entitled. Okay,
yep.
at some age, you get to say, "I can eat what I wanted to." Okay,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
all good. So music composing. I know there's a story before that. So can you share with us how your journey began? Being, I remember you saying you was a rock musician
Mhm.
to composing music to begin. To for films began.
Sure. Well, it started with dad. I mean, he was always listening to music, all kinds of music.
Mhm.
Lots of records around, so always around music.
Oh wow. Uh,
And his dad actually, he played guitar and all that stuff. So,
Sorry.
um, but it wasn't until about high school when I I bought some junky guitar off of another kid from school, and I thought, dad's like, well, that's great. You should, really start taking lessons. I'm like, nah, I don't have time for that. I'm gonna make an album. I'll learn how to play it later. You know. So, because I wanted to just be in rock bands and stuff, and I did that, and that's how I got into recording because we could never afford to go into a real studio. So I learned that and built always had a little studio around, and then I recorded our records for different labels that we used, and then pretty soon I started producing records for other artists, and then one day I got contacted by a filmmaker from Europe, and they wanted me to compose the music for their film, and I never thought I would have done that. That's for like smart musicians, not people who faked it like me. So I did it, and it seemed to come naturally for me. And after all these years, I've been doing it. That's the majority of the work that I've been doing. I still produce records on the side, but most of it's film work. So, I think the story behind that is, the path that you start out
Mhm.
on isn't necessarily the path that you end up on, and
Right.
the idea is to, you know, try different things and don't be afraid to, um, you know,
Right.
create and try new things. So,
Wow. So that's what inspired you to start
mhm,
composing. And so the different genres, like you'll get different, like horror film versus
mhm.
love. It could go any way, right? Either
Yeah,
way.
and that was one of the things that I really liked about it was because, I'd always been a rock and metal guy.
Right.
But then once I got into film music, I started working on films from all over the world,
Mhm.
uh, every kind of a style of music you could imagine,
Mhm.
and it really got me into a lot of different music that I didn't even know was out there. So
Wow, that's amazing. I
yeah,
think that's good because it leaves you to have more to look forward to because you don't know what's next.
right.
Yeah, longevity wise, that's a good thing. How do you approach composing? Excuse me, composing music for different genres of film. Like, do you have a specific process or method?
Well, normally it all starts off with talking with the director,
Okay, right,
and usually sometimes they'll send me the script,
right.
but usually just by listening to the director talk about the storyline and the different characters, I can already start, hearing music ideas and themes
Mhm,
and kind of how to approach that. Uh, Now, a lot of times, if I'm working with a director on a film from, say, another country,
mhm.
or a completely different culture,
Right.
that
That's
can kind of be a little bit tricky
that's what I
because
was
a
gonna
lot of
ask.
times they'll want the music within their culture, but they kind of want it Americanized.
Right.
And so then you got to try to mix the two cultures. And a lot of times, you know, I'll say, well, I can do some of the underscore work,
Mhm.
but it might be better to have artists from your local area to kind of
Right.
feature in your films. I could replicate something, but
Right.
I don't think it would be as authentic as if you could kind of feature artists from your area, your country, or you know.
That's
Um,
brilliant. That's a
and so
brilliant.
then I try to network with musicians from all over the world in case you know I get a I get asked to do some music where I'm like, I could
Yeah.
kind of fake my way through it, but it wouldn't sound authentic.
Right.
So, I have lots of musicians, from all over the world that I can kind of pull talent from.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. That's brilliant. Because yeah, I was thinking if director if it's this timepiece film also, then you don't you have to do a lot of research too then if it's
Mhm.
something like that, timepiece
Yeah,
or cultural piece? Yeah, I can
yeah.
imagine. So the what other challenge do you face when you're working on music for different film genres? You know,
Well,
culture, play. Well, oh, what about indoor outdoor scenes? Does that affect you for a sound? Because I'm thinking, right, outside sounds different, so you need maybe a boom mic if it's something,
mhm.
different things. I'm thinking.
So usually they'll have like a recordist where they'll actually be on the scene, and what they'll do is they'll come in and they'll actually record, like maybe 20 minutes to a half hour of just regular room sound or
Okay.
outside sound, and they'll actually be right there to record the actors and that. But a lot of times, what they'll do is they'll replace all the dialogue
Okay.
later, but they'll have that recording of the background. So,
Oh.
and then where I come in, sometimes I will do sound design. For example, I just worked on a sci-fi film where I
Mhm.
didn't do any of the music, but
Mhm.
I did like a lot of sound design and like footsteps. The Foley is what they call that.
Oh
So
yes. Okay.
yeah.
Nice. Wow. Is there a particular genre of film that you enjoy composing music for the most?
Well, the majority of the films that I've done over the years have
Mhm.
probably been like horror and suspense.
Mhm.
And for some reason, that's always seemed to come easy to me.
Mhm.
But the bad thing is
Mhm.
that once you've worked in something or behind the scenes in something,
Mhm.
like a horror film, everyone says, "Oh, it's the music that scares you," and but once you've worked in it, it kind of spoils you because you can't really see it again because it's like, "Oh, well, now that's typical. I knew that was bad." Or,
Right. Dun, dun, dun.
if you ever work with someone in the films that do like makeup, like the gory makeup,
Mhm.
once you see how it's done, it kind of spoils it.
Right, right.
I find it the same way, like recording music, you
Mhm.
know, you can never really listen to music again because when I hear it, I'm thinking, well, I wonder what kind of microphone they used on the snare drum,
Was that a getting right? What was it?
and
Yeah.
I'm constantly finding myself saying, you know what, just shut up, Mike. Just listen to the song. Nobody cares, you know. So it kind of ruins you a little bit when you know what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I can imagine. I write screenplays, so I watch films different than other people. You're right. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
they failed me on that one. I know the ending of this.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally get
Yeah.
it. Yeah, can you walk us through the collaborative process between you and the filmmakers when you're creating a new project?
So again, it starts with talking to the director
Hmm.
and what their ideas are,
Okay.
and I try to get as much information. Sometimes they'll send the script, like I said.
Mhm.
Sometimes they'll send links to samples of the style of music that they're looking for.
Okay.
But I want to try to get as much information to be on track with what they're thinking because obviously the last thing I want to do is like, oh, okay, I know what they're looking for, and then
Right.
you spend
Totally wrong.
3 days on some music, and then they're like, yeah, that really wasn't what we had in mind.
Right.
So it just saves everybody time if you know, I just kind of just shut up and listen to their ideas and get as much information as I can.
Right. Exactly. Good for you. So,
And and then
go.
what happens is once we get on track with the music,
Mhm.
I'll send some styles and then I kind of call it filling in the gaps where, I'll just send them, a pile of music and they and their editor can, you know, place them where they want to and then we go back into various lengths or edits that they need
Mhm. Now,
until
now is that well, how do you ensure that the music it complements rather the visuals and enhances the storytelling for the film? Like, I guess because you saw the script, or they were able to give you clear details. Mm,
right. And actually I'm kind of like less is more,
right,
meaning, music really doesn't have to be in every scene.
right,
And the one thing I notice about, like new composers out there is that, they feel that they need to create this giant epic
like,
sound, and
right,
really the music really is only there to enhance the visual.
right,
If at any time it really distracts from the characters or the audience,
right,
then it's kind of like um, you know, it really shouldn't it really shouldn't distract from the overall story and visual.
right,
So
right, absolutely. Because then, yeah, then it becomes a whole nother thing. Are there any um film composers or musicians who influenced you or your style or your approach to composing films?
I really like Thomas Newman. He did
Thomas.
the music for like The Green Mile,
Oh, okay.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you know,
Nice.
where there's a lot of melody and you don't have to have this huge orchestra. It's just these light sounds that really trigger emotions.
Right.
And I think he does that really well.
Wow.
So
Did you get to see, speaking of sounds, did you get to see Zone of Interest with
not
Jonathan
yet.
Glazer? Oh my gosh, the sound is amazing. There, I just make sure you watch it. I don't want to spoil alert, but
Hmm.
just definitely check out Zone of Interest. It's something very unusual. I'll just say that. I'll leave it at that. But what was I going to say? What was I saying on the question you just said? I couldn't remember the question. Sorry. Can you tell me about a memorable experience you had while working on a film project and how it impacted you as a composer?
Um, each project's different.
Mm.
Um, I did a I did a great project for this director from Argentina,
Mm-hmm.
and they were doing a film series on the life of that war criminal Adolf Eichmann,
Oh,
and it
okay.
kind of interviewed some of uh, these older people that had known him and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Well, I had the music idea down, but I needed a violinist, and I had been talking to this young violinist from Arizona,
Hmm.
and he was still in. I think he just was graduating high school,
Hmm.
but a really great violinist, and he didn't have any way to record. He was out in the middle of nowhere, out in
Hmm.
the country.
Right.
But so I'm kind of coaching him from a distance, how how to basically set it up, and I sent him tracks, and then he would send me violin tracks, and
Hmm.
we would just kind of create from a distance. And of course, that was his first film
Hmm.
experience, and that kind of inspired him to you know keep going with it. But
Wow.
the production that he had, I mean, he was recording, I think, from a phone. I
Mhm.
mean, it wasn't really that good, but the production fit perfectly with the music that I was
Nice.
looking for. So he did really well. So,
Wow.
you know,
Nice.
that's another lesson where just because you have a desire to create, you don't have to have $1 million studio to do it.
Right.
You just
Right.
have to have the desire to, you know, remember that, you know, there's equipment that they sell that's, for the consumer use,
Hmm.
um, that exceeds what the Beatles recorded on. So,
Wow. Yeah, that's there's a lot of I always say if it's your passion, you'll find a way.
right,
It may take you a while. And you may not do it as big as you want yet, but just keep at it, because
stay
and that's
driven.
yeah, that's why I loved I saw your information and said, "Oh, I'd love to interview this guy." Because you were a musician and you were playing your rock and roll and you were happy, and then boom, out of the sky someone said, "Hey, can you do this for me?" And now you're a composer, and from what I hear, that's a nice penny. So it's pretty good gig to have if you get the right ones. You know,
Yeah,
yeah. So I'm sure that's it can be more on your table than sometimes the starving musician.
yeah,
So it's another venue or another way for an artist to make money.
yeah,
Especially, I really think you should create your own app, as a matter of fact, and have for musicians so that you always have them on fleek whenever you need them. I think that would
sure.
be awesome because
Yeah,
you know I mean, if you ever need one, I know plenty too. But I'm just saying, in general, for what you do, it's so amazing because depending on who calls you is what you need, and boom, having it at your access is really helpful.
yeah.
Um, Amazing. What is your proudest work to date? Do you have anything that's your favorite?
Um,
All of it. So someone told
I
me everything.
actually, it's probably the project that I didn't do.
Oh, o-
Um,
okay. What is that?
Sometimes artists feel that, I got to say yes to every job that comes along because I don't know when the next one's going to come along. And if
Okay.
I say no,
Hmm.
then maybe they won't want to hire me. I
Right.
don't want to be, but there's a lot of power in saying, in doing what inspires you.
Right.
And there's a lot of power in saying no, you know.
Yes. Yes.
So a number of years ago, I got contacted by the director that was going to do the sequel to, I think they were doing Alien versus Predator 2.
Oh
And
wow.
they said, we want you to fly, we want you to work in New York. We want you to, work with a 60-piece orchestra. We want to do this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm going to be able to quit my day job.
Right.
This is a big time. And when I when I heard how much they were going to pay, I'm
Mhm.
thinking, well, that wouldn't pay. I'd have to sell my house to do it. That
Right.
wouldn't even pay for the one day's, musicians union fees.
Right.
Um,
They probably thought.
and they were thinking that, it was a good chance, it was a good opportunity, but
Mhm.
I said, no way, you
Yeah.
know,
Good for you. Good for you. You stood your ground. you know?
And so it made me think of ABBA, the band ABBA,
How about
the
yes.
disco band. They
Yes.
had been broken up for years,
Mm,
and they had been trying to get them together to play shows,
mhm.
and somebody offered them $1 million to play one show, and they said no way. And
Yeah,
I
that's not
thought
a lot for
that
that many people.
I said that's really powerful saying no,
Mhm. Did they
but
say why? Why'd they say no?
I mean, I think now they've actually regrouped and they have, but I mean at the time
'Cause they
I
needed the
thought,
money.
wow, $1 million, and they said no. They said they just kind of smiled and said no way.
But think about it. How many are there? Uh, 4,
4?
5, 4 or 5? Yeah. So
Yeah,
that means divided by 4.
yeah.
That's not. That's
But I
not a lot.
mean, that just
30,000 each. I mean,
that seemed powerful to me, and
yeah.
it was like, stick to your inspiration, and don't let don't let money or any of the other stuff be the thing that guides you. You
Right.
know,
Good for you.
let your inspiration guide you.
Good for you. Wow. Good for you. That's commendable because I just think right now, like a lot of musicians are it's finding it hard to find deals and stuff like that because the industry has been, in my opinion, tainted. The regular music industry has been tainted, and unfortunately, it's all about the masters now. The contracts they're giving are horrible. They've been made horrible, but now everyone woke up and found out, ooh, it wasn't just those 50s black artists that were getting the bad deal. All y'all got a bad deal.
Yeah,
From Celine on down, everybody got the bad deal. So now that we see that, it's become a challenge. But the good news is you can find other ways to eat.
yeah,
You can eat. You can
yeah.
eat without the big labels. You don't need them because you're the one with the gift, not me.
Right,
You have the gift. I mean, I have the gift of singing, but I don't have the gift of pulling these buttons and playing the guitar. And, I mean, that's to me, that's a gift. It's hard. Good luck finding that many people that do that, right? That
right,
at that level. So if artists was a band together like yourself and say, no, we're not taking these little payouts they want to give us. That sounds cute, but we know it ain't.
right,
Because then nobody ever offered you their masters on these big
right,
deals. They're just now, because some people open their eyes, are saying maybe okay, a few people might have slept by and got their masters and got things, but even Prince, you see what happened to him? He
yeah,
was like it's like literally no pun intended, but it's like a slave contract. Michael Jackson, same thing. A lot of people had these contracts. We have no idea the amount of stuff that goes into being a musician. We think it's just easy, and it can be easy. Just play. You set up your venues. You go to your places. You don't need the big labels. Stop. Don't be lazy. Do the work, right?
right,
And I have plenty of friends who do that, and they make a lot of money going around touring around all around without the big label. They've been offered, but they turned it down. And that's the point of this whole piece of this conversation is that sometimes you got to turn down the money because
mhm.
it's about the
My
talent.
the first label that ever approached me,
Mhm.
I think was out of London,
Oh,
and they sent a contract. I'm thinking, wow, I'm hitting the big time now. I can
right.
quit my day job, you know. But and I'm thinking, I don't have money to have a lawyer look at this contract, so I'm
Oh,
gonna have to pick it apart,
right.
little by little. And when I did,
Mhm.
it said that the label not only owns the album, but it
Yeah.
also owns the band's name.
Oh
So,
no. And that's how they get us.
so I mean, there was another no,
That's how they
but
get them. Wow.
and so and I've worked with a few record labels in the past, and I understand they've got to make money too.
Yes.
But now I'm kind of like, well, now that there's no record stores, I don't need the distribution. So what can you do for me that I can't do for myself?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
And sometimes, people have to stop being lazy. You have to realize, I mean, I used to work in the music business years ago in the 90s, whatever. And nothing big, but I learned from the best of them. I'm talking about people that were help knock out #1 platinum gold records. So it was big labels. But what do you call it? What was my point? Really? I'm having the Alzheimer's moment again. Here we go. What was the point? Oh my God, I just got sidetracked. I apologize. What was the point? I had a point of the bigger labels. Staying focused on your goal. Oh, I totally forgot my point. I
Well,
apologize.
one of the things is that, artists, or what I find with new artists, is that, you know, they create great stuff, but then when it comes time to promote, they're like, I just
That,
don't know business,
that's it.
and I don't like putting myself out there.
That's
Like,
it.
well, you're the spokesperson for your art,
There you
you
go.
know,
And you have to be, because they'll
Eh,
change the narrative if you're not.
right?
That's
Yeah,
the problem. So you like, oh, you want me to tell you what you are? Okay.
yeah,
Let's see how this is going to work for us, right?
hmm
You just have to. If you're an artist, these are God-given talents that were given to you. They're not everybody can do this, or else we would,
yeah,
because it's a great way to. It's peaceful when you can make your own music. I can think of 500 reasons why it's excellent. But you have to think. I was. That's what my point was about the labels. When I used to work at a label, I was in one promotions department. And so this is when Brian McKnight had number one, Vanessa Williams, all those people that around that time, Billy Ray Cyrus, Black Sheep, those were kind of groups that were going around then. But I remember they had, someone used to call it, they used to do those flyers. They put them up on the things around New York City, those
mhm,
flyers, and everyone would go to these parties, right? Because the flyers told you. So that's kind of a guerrilla tactic is what I call it, where you have to go one person, one fan at a time. You build one at a time. And you only do that by going to the small places, sing at the small places, town by town by town by town, until you pin that map so much that you can't identify it. That's it. That's what they do. They just get the best at it and pay a lot of, and you comes out of your money, so it's stupid for you to have them do it. But you can do it, and you don't have to be, let's say, a Beyonce. You don't have to be that. You don't have to be a Billy Ray Cyrus. You can be a Billy Ray Cyrus without being him, which is even better because then nobody won't be up in your face asking you all the questions, right?
mhm,
And you're still making money. Like nobody has to
right,
ever bother you ever. But we have to do the work as artists. We have to. You have to say, you know what? I'm not good at marketing, but you know what? I'm going to go to this local college and see who they got in the marketing department that needs an internship. And it'll
right,
be based on you get me work. This is the percentage of money you get. Whatever. I'm making that up. But
sure,
you know what I'm saying? There's got to be a way. I need a PR person. Let me see who's the best in the PR schools. Who can I get? You know what I'm saying? It goes
right,
by piece job. You get me this, I get you that. That's it. You have to be
yeah,
creative in our field, or else you really won't get anywhere, and you won't get exactly what you were,
right,
wishing to do. So you found another way. I think it's brilliant. And I can't believe time is flying already. So I have one more question for you.
okay.
What advice would you give aspiring musicians who are interested in getting into composing music for films for different genres?
I would say, just constantly create. Don't wait for jobs.
Right,
Always be creating.
right.
Because you can always put the music out there or sell it or whatever later. But,
Mhm.
you can always license it later, but constantly be working on your craft, um and it's good to, there's so much information on the internet and stuff, but I think be your own person, be your own creator. And like I said, don't do everything just because of the money.
Right, because
um,
then that's yeah.
and
Because they will
inspire
they
wherever
will
you
name a
go.
price. Yeah, they will name a price if you have one. So
Mhm.
I always
Yeah,
say, don't have one, then nobody can buy you out.
right. Always keep all of your own art. Keep all the rights to your work.
Yes, very important. Masters is everything. That's your
Hmm.
longevity money.
Yeah.
you know. But thank you. So I appreciate it. Is there how can we people reach out to you if they want to reach out?
I've got a
LinkedIn?
SoundCloud, Mike Hall SoundCloud. You could probably find that. But otherwise, uh, if anybody
Uh,
wants to reach me, just you can email me at Mike Hall Film Composer at
Mike
gmail.com.
Composer at gmail.com. Yeah, I used to type faster than that. I don't know what happened, but let's see if I did that right. Let me see. Tell me if this is Mike Hall, film composer. Yeah, is that right?
Yep.
All
Yep.
right, there we go. You guys see Mike Hall, composer. Thank you so much. And I want to say quick hi to Joe. Happy Father's Day, Joe, Joey P. And Juan, thank you from Venezuela. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Muchas gracias for, I can't say, for watching, because my head's in French and Italian right now. It's like one thing about London and other places is they speak a lot of languages. It's only here that we only speak one. So when you're there, you got to get into mind frame of listening to different syntax.
I don't know. I have a hard enough time with English. I don't know how everybody does more than one.
It's hard, but you gotta do it. And I'm loving it, especially at my age. You need to keep yourself sharp. So I just said I'm gonna think like a 18-year-old, which means I'm always welcoming new challenges. So thank you so much, Michael. You're awesome.
Thank you.
I appreciate you so much. And thank you for guys who's watching. I can't see who's watching on YouTube, so I apologize, but thank you. We appreciate you. Please share the video if you can. We like that. And Mike, hang out with me while I try to, wait, what am I trying to find? Okay, I got Mike closer. Okay, well, hang out with me while I let us end. Anybody else out there? Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I see you, but I can't see who it is. I can only see who's on this thread here. I think that's Facebook people. I think that's who that is. But thank you. And we'll see you guys. See you next week. And Mike, hang out. Don't hang up. I mean, don't hang up. Don't hang up the phone, Zoom. Guys, thank you. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. All right. Bye.